Peace. If you're new to my channel, I teach that you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans make up the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about why Moses said to choose life. Everybody is familiar with the story of the Ten Commandments, but maybe everyone doesn't know that there was an obligation, a covenant, and a contract attached to those 10 commandments. Moses told the Israelites if they keep the commandments, they will be blessed above all nations on the planet, according to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, which is also what we use as Israelites to identify with being the children of Israel. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, the first verse says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." If the Israelites would have kept their part of the agreement, they would have been above all nations on the earth. But that didn't happen. The book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the same chapter now, the 15th verse says this part of the agreement though. "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So when you look at the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American in North America, the Native Americans are in bad position. They are on reservations, drinking themselves to death. Their reservations look like slums. In other areas, this was brought to my attention by another Israelite camp, that Indians are living in cardboard houses. If you look at the so-called Negro, we're redlined to the ghetto, killing each other. If you look at the so-called Hispanics, the same thing. It's like we're cursed. But the pastors of the churches, they don't teach this. And the people, the Blacks, Hispanics, and the Native Americans, they just go about their day like this is normal. And nobody really believes the Bible. Okay? And as Israelites, repented Israelites that don't live in sin anymore, any longer, we have a spiritual discernment that something is wrong. We have a spiritual discernment that the Bible, the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, is the explanation for the conditions that we are in. Okay, now we got Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and the first verse and the 15th verse. The blessing for obeying God's 10 commandments and the curses for breaking them and disobeying God's 10 commandments. So let's get on to the book of Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter. And once you hear this verse, you understand that as Israelites, we don't push our doctrine on you, because Moses never pushed the doctrine on the Israelites. He warned them. He admonished them. He gave them a disclaimer. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 15. "See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil." So Moses told them, look, the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, verse 1 to 14, that's the life and good. But the same book in the 15th verse, all the way up to the 68th verse, that's death and evil. So this is also what Moses said. As we jump down 4 verses, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. "I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live." So Moses said, look, I'm giving you the blessings and the curses like God told me to do. Choose life that you and your kids may live. when you look at the elders of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, a large percent of them are hooked on drugs, and they're unable to give advice to the youth. Once you look at a large percent of the youth, they're hooked on drugs and they're dying early. A large percent of them. At the time I'm making this video, a rapper named Juice WRLD died at 21 years of age. But don't get it wrong. I'm not saying that it was connected to drugs, his death. But as TMZ has put it out, because today is December 9th at the time that I'm making this video, they found guns, and they found 70 pounds of marijuana, and they also found codeine. Now, who knows what the higher ups are trying to do? Maybe they're trying to blow off the young man's death and, you know, treat it as a drug-related death. Or maybe he was actually into that life and he didn't choose life and good. He chose death and evil. Maybe that's what it is, and the Most High God put the spirit on me to make this video. So we have to take care of our bodies is the point of this video. So I'm going to go to Deuteronomy. No, I'm going to Leviticus, the 11th chapter and the 7th verse. Because we can eat a lot of things too that influence the way we think, how we feel, and is bad for us. And pork is one of these things. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. So the pig, he has certain characteristics, but he doesn't chew the cud, he's unclean. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the cud is like a filter system for the body, if I'm not mistaken. Pigs don't even sweat. They're very disgusting creatures. They're bottom feeders. We shouldn't eat that as Israelites, okay? So-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, okay? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the water. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. So it's okay to eat tuna because it has fins and scales, but it's not okay to eat a catfish because it has fins, and to my knowledge, I don't think it has scales. So that's not good to eat. These things are bottom feeders, and they're abomination to the Most High God. So Moses said, I put before you life and good and death and evil. So what we just read in the book of Leviticus is also life and good and death and evil, because the first 5 books are called the Torah, and they're all about God's laws, and people live their whole lives in certain cultures according to the Torah, okay, because they know the significance of the Torah. So that's why I make videos. If you're not familiar with my content, that's what I teach. You know, the significance of the Torah. All right. Yeah, I wanted to jump to the New Testament, to the book of Corinthians. And I'm trying to go fast because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I'm just breaking down the significance of choose life. A famous quote by Moses, a famous quote of Moses. Okay, got it? Good. Okay, let's get to the book of Corinthians. The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? So our bodies are the temple of God. Because if I'm not mistaken, at this time, the temple or house of worship was tore down. So we had to just keep God's laws and keep our body as holy and as clean as possible at this time, which we still have to do today in our diaspora. A diaspora is one of the curses mentioned in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. You just have to read the whole 28th chapter. You'll become privy to what's going on. Okay? So we have to keep our body holy and clean to the Most High God because he dwells in us. And keeping our body holy and clean is the way that we magnify God. We show people that God is real by the lifestyle that we lead. Okay. The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So if you dirty up your body and you live a unholy lifestyle, according to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 17, God will destroy you. And this is spiritually discerned to the repentant Israelites. We get it. We don't say that, oh, such and such died of a heart attack, God killed them. We don't say that right off. You know, we give it time and we let things play out. And if we see that your cause of death was drug related, that just strengthens our case. It proves our point. Keep your body holy, okay? And, you know, you'll keep your risk of getting cancer very low. You'll keep your risk of getting gunned down, overdosing very low. The chance will be slim to none if you live better, treat yourself better, magnify God, you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Okay, so we're going to go to the Apocrypha, to the book of Wisdom of Sirach. The 14th chapter and the 5th verse says, if a man is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? So the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans right now in our lower state, we tend to lean on pills, Percocet, Xanax, lower tabs, uppers, downers to escape the reality that we broke God's law and that he cursed us. That's not the way out. We have to face our problems as sober as possible and stop the drug abuse. If you have pain from health-related issues, take some medicine. But if you're just abusing the drug because you're leaning on it as a crutch, you know, you're being evil to yourself, and to whom will you be good? You can't be good to your family because you're not sober. Okay? You can't be good to anyone. You're not good to be a protector, to provide security, physically or financially or mentally. Okay? You just off your rocker. So, I want to get another scripture out of 1 Peter. Okay, because all the prophets were, you know, they were on one accord. Let's get what Paul said. Okay. Let's get it. The book of 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So be sober, be diligent. Yeah. Be diligent, but be vigilant. That's what the scripture says in 1 Peter 5, verse 8. Because your adversary, the devil, walks around like a roaring lion trying to devour you. So we don't just say all the time that the devil is some invisible spirit that you can blame things on and not be accountable for your actions. We say the devil are these racist cops, these white supremacists, your oppressor of other nations, Africans, Arabs, even your own people. They looking to devour you when they catch you if they catch you in any characteristic besides being on your A game, you will get devoured. Think it's a game, okay? Think it's a game. You've been warned, okay? Be on your A game. Do what you got to do. Magnify God. Keep your body holy and clean. Peace.